A lover of wolves, a rider of witches, the man in the cowboy hat at Lucasfilm has had quite the rap sheet when it comes to ups and downs. Many folks were very excited when he was paired with Jon Favreau, the cartoon Clone War creator. They thought he would be the maker of much good in Star Wars. But things have not gone well. We're talking about the Acolyte, we're talking about Ahsoka, and we'll tell you what Dave Filoni is really like behind the scenes from a Lucasfilm employee who knows. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the place where we drag Holly Weird back to the sensible center, the mainstream middle, where they can make some money. They don't like it, they kick, they scream, but they know that we are bringing them back to the golden dream of audiences returning. And that's just what, by the way, has happened with Deadpool and Wolverine over this weekend. Fantastic numbers out of that movie simply by delivering what fans want. Now, some fans don't want the profanity, they don't want the violence, and I understand all of that. I'm not here to rain on that parade, but I'm also here to say that clearly there's a market for this. However, there is no market whatsoever for the stuff that Star Wars has been putting out. Zero, none, nada. And the man who will be, I think, given all of the responsibility, the shame, the guilt, it will be, well, and the blame, Dave Filoni, the man in the cowboy hat. Not Kathleen Kennedy. She does not want any of that on her. So, what is Dave Filoni like? Well, we have someone who worked at Lucasfilm for an extended amount of time, and he's ready to tell you what it's like dealing with Dave. But, Nipan, where we are today is, of course, the Acolyte has finished. John Trent has been doing great work over at thatparkplace.com covering that Leslie Headland is apparently begging social media users to convince Disney to allow her to have a second season. But it seems like, just looking at the numbers, it's something like a 90% drop in viewership from Mandalorian Season 2 finale to Acolyte Season 1 finale. So finale versus finale, high point versus low point, we're something like a 90% drop in viewership. And some folks have said, well, what's that?
I think it might be even more because we don't even have those numbers because they
and you're right, and we'll never know. But I think 90 is at least the baseline there. But that's a great point. Some folks have said, well, why don't you compare it to something more recent? It's like, well, it was tracking at half of Ahsoka, and Ahsoka was a ratings disaster. So the next step really for Star Wars, we've got Skeleton Crew, but I really don't. This is a franchise now that until we get to something big at the box office, it's on chill mode. This thing is room temperature. So, Nipan, we've got Jon Favreau, who is an acclaimed director. He has quite the legacy. He probably wants to maintain that legacy. Likely, this is his one and only shot at a Star Wars film. He wants to go out well with this, I would think. But he's also surrounded by this cacophony of cultural divisiveness that's at Lucasfilm. If you were advising someone in the position of Jon Favreau or someone in his orbit, what would you suggest to them if you were trying to repair the damage that's been done to Star Wars? You as a fan, you as someone who's worked at the studio, what would be your recommendation for how you begin to fix this?
Don't try, not right now. I think I would not personally want to step into this situation. I think there's a lot of baggage, a lot of drama, obviously with the fans, whatever's going on with the company, social media, news. A lot of people have said that there needs to be like kind of a purge, like Lucasfilm or Star Wars as an IP should probably stop producing content for about 10 years. And I would actually agree with that. Is like maybe just take that 10 years, work on other projects and work on your side script. I mean, I can't imagine why any director who has the resume that Jon Favreau has, who has done amazing work behind and in front of the camera. I love the movie Chef that he did. He's very talented. He does not need to do Star Wars. He may want to do a Star Wars film. I think that would be maybe the leverage, right? If they really wanted him, if I was John and someone said, "Hey, we really want you to do this," like, no, I don't want to do it right now. Things are a good place. Keep pushing back. Maybe use that as the trump card. Just be like, see if they come back with like, okay, you can do it. And you can literally do it your way. We'll sign the agreement that we stay out of your way, but we're desperate. But I wouldn't jump on it immediately. I think this is a lot of it's a business negotiation. It'd be a contract negotiation. It's not a creative negotiation.
Did you, and you're free to, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just going to ask, so I'm curious too, because it seems to me, based on what we've been hearing, that Dave Filoni is exerting or has been put into a place of more influence over this movie, the Mandalorian movie, specifically in writing the script and retrofitting the final 2 episodes that were originally intended for the Mandalorian season 4, which is no more. Seems to be retrofitting that into what could be a launching pad for his idea of films to come. So you might think about, Filoni's Ahsoka film that he would be doing, or the Thrawn trilogy, whatever he's going to do. You have worked in the orbit of Dave Filoni. Without going too far, I don't want you to say things that make you feel like you're subverting your time at Lucasfilm or your people that you know. What's your take though on Dave Filoni in terms of leadership? Do you get a sense that he's a yes man, as some have said, who he'll just go whichever way the wind blows, or do you sense that he has a strong vision for Star Wars and that he sticks to his convictions? Like, which way do you think this is going with his work on the Mandalorian movie?
I definitely believe that Dave has his convictions, that he has a direction he wants to go in. He may understand, or that he can't always go in the direction he wants. So I think, like, as someone in his position, it's going to be a give and take. It's a game, it's a chess game in these big companies. So it's like, I'm going to play along for so long, but you do set up your pieces to move into a position, move yourself into a favorable position. Dave is really no different than any other creative executive director that I've ever worked with, which is they always have a 10, 15, 20-year plan creatively, big projects, workaholics. They're always writing ideas down. So yeah, if people wonder, like, does he have big plans? Oh, I would not doubt he has numerous plans scribbled down, numerous ideas. And he spends a lot of time shuffling them around, trying to figure out when, where, and how. That's part of what they do in that position.
So
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just wonder on things like that. Okay, so I'm just going to say, aesthetically speaking, Dave Filoni seems to have, forgive me for saying it this way, a thing for wolves. So when you have something like that, and you're working with in the same organization with somebody that has that kind of creative influence over everyone in the company.
Yeah.
How does something like that get communicated? You say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is the concept art I want you to use. Or does everybody just know? And so they're like, okay, well, I have an idea and I don't know if they're going to use it, so I'm going to stick a wolf in it. So I make sure that one gets through. How does that process work at a company like Lucasfilm? Do people position their art and concepts and things in a way to try to favor, let's say, maybe some of the tropes, if I don't want to say cliches, of a creative director?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to figure out how to answer this. What I remember in Rebels, when they had that episode with the wolves, I remember just when that came about, I'm not sure how that was pitched, but I just remember when I first started seeing, like, the animatics and the mouse and animation, I just was like, okay. Like, I think you just kind of go with it. Now, how at his level, I'm not sure how he pitched that initially. I think if you know, like, obviously people outside the industry know Dave Filoni has a love of wolves, a crazy love of wolves. You can pretty much guarantee that everyone inside knows this tenfold. So I think there's also, like, well, here we are. We just figured this was going to happen at some point in time.
Wolves and witches.
Yeah. The witches didn't see, honestly, that coming, to be honest. When I started hearing about Acolyte and witches, I was like, what? Because I had not followed any of the shows for years.
What do you make of the idea that now the shows are seemingly like we've switched to witches? So it's no longer Jedi and Sith. I mean, it's kind of, but the majority of the shows now, both Ahsoka and the Acolyte, were hyper focused on witches. And
wow,
to me, that's a brand.
Ahsoka. Yeah.
Well, see, that's like a brand issue to me, because, if you want to take on the witches, you're entering into the Harry Potter world, or you're entering into the Twilight world. But that's not why you paid billions and billions of dollars to acquire this property.
I'm going to push back a little bit here. Harry Potter's not witches as much as it's like they've wanted a female word for wizards. There, this is very much in like the
don't you go warlock on me down there, Jonas. Don't you do it.
That weird season of Smallville where all of a sudden everybody was witches. And then, of course, Agatha all along. We got these 2 delayed shows all hitting in the same year. I feel like there's somebody out in Hollywood that's got a weird fascination out there for this. I mean, it's kind of a caricature. It's very, well, I'll say it's obviously female empowerment, which is hot in Hollywood, whether or not it's not actually hot in the real world. I feel like this is that. I don't want to say it's a top level push, but I think they're so sure that that's going to hit with audiences. And in the number of things that are popular that are actually witches, I don't think that I don't think they've really done the research on that. This is the moment where I think the market research and what they actually think, they're trying to fool themselves into thinking this is a good thing to send to the market.
Yeah, I wouldn't know where the witch influence came from, but I've started catching up on the Acolyte, and I've honestly just sit there just kind of bewildered. Like, what does this contribute to the Star Wars universe?
Well, it inverts it.
Outside,
that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, other than just some of the really inconsistent writing issues I've had.
Nipain, you should come back after you finish it. We look forward to the level of disgust you're going to feel when that sucker's over. Folks, we've come to the end of this interview, and what a wonderful time it truly was. We want to say a special thank you to Nipain for stopping by and giving us the information that so many of you out there are so curious about. And we'll get more. Apparently, sucky Star Wars, the last straw wars, because Skeleton Crew now, well, rumored heavily to be a disaster in waiting. Poor Lucasfilm. I don't care so much. All right, folks, we do care about one thing, though. Please, if you would. Should I do the Roger Rabbit? Please, Eddie. Click that like button. Share, subscribe. Click it. Stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And folks, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.